Hey, what's up guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of tips and tricks, or I think I would say lesser known tips and tricks when working with the EOS R. After shooting with it for quite a while, I've kind of come across a couple of quirks and issues that you might come across if you're not so sure or you've not delved into the menu that much yet. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so let's go on to the first tip. I'm using a Shinobi monitor right here, so just so that it's a bit easier for you to see what's going on in the menu. So let's just dive into the first tip. So the first tip actually revolves around custom shooting modes. So when you first pick up the camera, you'll know that you can actually customize your C3. C3 would be all the custom menu settings for your video settings. So let's say you are on photo mode right now, and so if I click the record button, it will use my C3 settings. So essentially what's going to happen is that first, before you do anything, you're just going to customize every single thing you want. You want to customize all your buttons, you want to customize all your dials and things like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to this menu right here, custom shooting mode, and you're going to click register settings under C3. So once you're done, so let's say you've set all the frame rates that you want, all the custom modes that you want for your buttons. So once you click C3, and once you've done that, before you exit, what you always want to do is you want to auto update set enable. So this is so when you, let's say you already set your settings in C3, but then you decide, let's say you don't want it to be the dial function, and you change that. But if you turn off your camera and you go back onto C3 without that auto update settings, it will not register the new settings. It will only register the ones that you put when you registered C3. So just make sure that when you're doing this, you auto update set, because as you're going around, as you're shooting, you tend to find out things that you like and you don't like, and you will update them as they go. So this is just going to help you when you are changing all your settings. So the next tip is, some of you have actually messaged me about this, and the first one is that some of you might be using manual lenses. Now, the one thing that's really good about mirrorless cameras is that you can adapt all kinds of lenses, particularly really nice manual lenses. But the problem is that some people found out that when they're putting on manual lenses, they can't seem to record anything. And the reason why is because you need to enable this. So by default, this thing is off. It's release shutter without lens. So I'm going to disconnect my lens. It has electronic contacts, but for the sake of this one, we'll just show you. So we'll do this. So now it's disconnected. As you can see, there is no aperture reading. And if you can see, if I press record, it's not recording. And the reason why is because, so I'm still going to be keeping the lens disconnected. If I put release shutter without lens, suddenly I can record. So this is going to help you when you're shooting with manual lenses in particular. So just keep this in mind. So tip number 3 is that if you're using a lens like this is the 40mm lens, so it's an STM lens. Now, one thing that this lens does is that when it focuses, so the barrel actually extends, and a lot of people find trouble with this when you're keeping it, is that when you turn it off, it doesn't go back in. So what you want to do is, if you're using lenses like this, you want to put retract lens on power off. So I'm going to show you what happens if I have it disabled. So when I turn the lens on, you can see that it's extended. When I turn it off, nothing happens. It remains here, and what happens is when you keep it, it can damage the lens. So what you want is sometimes you just forget to reclose it back. So what you want to do is that in your menu, you use retract lens on power off. Click it on. So now when I turn it off, the lens will go back in. So this just helps you when you are keeping your lens and when you're turning off, and just making sure that your lens is safe. So the next tip is using this lock button. Now, I think a lot of people found this lock button a bit it's kind of useless and things like that. And I think this is one of a good feature to combat some of the design flaws in the R. One of the design flaws that I found is that because of this touch bar is so close to this dial, and your thumb naturally just rests on this touch bar right here. And if, let's say, you put it at ISO, you can easily just change your settings by accident. Go to this menu, use multifunction lock, and I set everything off except for the touch bar. So once I'm done with that, is that when I press lock, only the touch bar doesn't work, so that I can be a bit more controlling. So when I want to change only, then I'll press lock instead of doing that, like hold the touch bar and things like that. That's a bit too much, so it's just faster for me to press lock, change, unlock, things like that. And the last tip is only if you're using an external monitor, when you're on HDMI resolution and it's on auto. So when I change my video quality from full HD to 4K, you'll see what happens is that, and when I go to menu, sometimes the menu will flicker or it won't even come on. So this is an issue that I thought something was wrong with my cable. I thought something was wrong in the monitor. It turns out that just the output itself, see, it's flickering on and off. So it's the output itself that's the problem. So what you need to do is, if you want to shoot in 4K and with an external monitor, you need to put your resolution at 1080. And so when you plug it back in, and I press menu, and it's back up. So this is a small caveat that I'm not so sure why it's implemented. If you guys know, please do let me know. The Shinobi does accept a 4K signal, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not the monitor's fault, but this is the only monitor that I've tested it with. And if you have any experience with it, please do let me know as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope some of these tips can help you guys out understand your camera a little bit more. If you have any more questions about the EOS R, any Canon cameras, or photography and filmmaking in general, please do drop me a comment. I answer all comments. Drop me an email, drop me a DM on Instagram, or follow me on Facebook, all this kind of good stuff. And thank you so much once again, and I will see you in the next video.